Alright, we're going to start off this video with something I told you we were going to talk about. The difference between DP and SP. Okay, they're both units of measurement. DP is more for everything except font. We'll just say that. Everything except font. Stands for density independent pixels. You can either use DP or DIP. When specifying, of course, DP shorter, that's the one I would use, plus it fits good with SP, which I believe it says in here. Alright, so what is it? It's an abstract unit that is based on the physical density of the screen. Units are relative, blah blah blah. Anyways, basically what it's saying is if you use DP and you get it to fit, it looks good on, say, a smaller screen, it's going to be proportionate no matter what size of screen. So if it looks a certain size on one screen, it's going to look, it's going to increase that size with a bigger screen or a higher resolution screen. So it's going to look good no matter what device it's on. It's basically what it's saying. Same thing with SP, scale independent pixels, and that is more for, well, it is for font. Tells you right down here, it's like DP unit. It's also scaled by the user's font size preference. Recommended that you use this unit when specifying font sizes, so they will be adjusted for both the screen density and user's preference. So keep those in mind. Easy to find. Google is your friend. So is Bing, basically any search engine on the internet. If you have questions, go on there, type them in. Just say, what's the difference between DP and SP and Android? Or whatever. So when we left off last time, let's see, we had our buttons working on the register page. If you clicked, it would say go to login. Click on register. It would say register. Of course, that's not what we want to do. So let's go fix one of them right now. We're going to go ahead and fix this one. Because, like I say, when we click on it, we want it to go to the login page. So, give me a second while I go over here. We're going to go back into this, and we're going to take this toast out and make it go to the login page. So to do that, okay, we already know that we can navigate between login page, register page, and everything, and we do all that in the main activity. So I always say don't overthink it. Let's go back. We know we need this, so let's copy that, Control C, go back to our register fragment. Where are we going to put it? Well, we don't need it everywhere. If we needed it everywhere, we'd put it up here. We don't need it everywhere. We need it down here in our on-click method here. So let's put it, let's paste it right above the switch. Control V, of course it comes up. Do you want to basically import this stuff, to make it work? We're going to click OK. That way everything looks good, but oh, what's this? We're getting red over here. That's not good. So we got to do a couple things. First thing we're going to do, we're going to make it final. And over here, we're going to put in get activity. And then we're going to put a dot and delete. Okay. So, and as you can see, we lost our red. Now, if you haven't noticed, and this is something that does get pretty, messed up. It's like, man, we're using this get activity a lot. And we're going to use it a lot. So let's go ahead and fix this right now. So we're going to go up here and we're going to declare another variable. And it's going to be Alright, I was looking for something, but apparently it ain't going to work. So we are going to have to use get activity for now anyways. If I can find a better way to do this, then I will let you know at a later date. But anyways, so we got to get the activity again and then get support manager. As you can see, everything's looking good. So we want to get the login fragment. So go back over to your main activity. We're going to grab this line of code for our login fragment. Control C to copy. Go back over to register. Alright, we'll paste it right here in the, we want to go to login. Control V to paste. Everything looks good. Don't see any red in there. So we'll go ahead and run it. Make sure that we can get to our login from it. And if we can, then yeah, that's one thing down. And the reason that we're using Fragment Manager inside the OnClick, like I say, we're not going to need it anywhere else because this is the only place that we need to actually change a fragment, at least right now. Now, if we do some coding and we find out that we need to do, like, change it somewhere else later, then we'll move it outside of this. For right now, yeah, the only place that we need to change fragments is in here. Alright, so we go over here, click here, boom, we're back at the login. Alright, so let's go back to register. Now let's go in, we're going to do some, well, we're going to add some edit views up here first. So what do we need? We're going to need a username, an email, and a password. But we're going to have a second email because we're going to make them verify their email, and we're going to have a second password because we're going to make them verify their password. So we're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 different edit views. So we're going to go back over here to our register fragment, the design, and we're going to create a couple more things in here. So I'm going to put another linear layout in here. And we'll match the parent, wrap content. And I'll go ahead and get this stuff done and then come back and explain it here in just a second. Alright, so I've gone in and I've added a little bit more design to it. We got another linear layout. On top of our footer, and you remember I said we gave this an ID, and I told you I would come back and let you know why we gave it an ID. The reason we gave it an ID is because I want to force this other linear layout to lay on top of it. So it's like I'm going to lay out above that footer. And the idea of that footer. So that's the reason we needed to put an ID on it, because I need to use it. And basically what that does is that helps me force this linear layout down so that I've got some room at the top of my page. Of course, it's going to be a vertical because we got edit text, which is another way of saying like input boxes, or you can input information into them. I put a margin at the bottom of 30 dp, so it gives me a little room between there and the text that says I already have an account. Click here, so it's not crammed right up on it. And then I got margin left and right so that my text isn't running off the edge of my phone. Of course, the edit text, I've got them going as far out as they'll go. Now, like say, since I got that margin left and margin right, it kind of brings it off the edges a little bit, but it'll go as far to the right and left as it can possibly go if you put match parent. Wrap content, it's just going to be the size of the text, which we have set to 20 SP. You got to give each one of them an ID because we are going to have to get the text from them to pass them up to the database. And I got the text aligned center because I just think it looks neater that way. A hint is basically some text that lays in there, and as soon as you start typing, it disappears, but it lets you know what you're supposed to type in there. So in the first one, we're going to get the username or name, and then of course each one, email address, and then re-enter email address, and then password and re-enter password. The max length, I've set those because you don't want to give your customers too much room to type because there are ways, if you got hackers, that they can get in there if they know what they're doing and do what they call SQL injection. So you want to only give them a certain amount of room to work with. So I got max length 35, which is the same number of characters I'm going to assign in the database that they can put in. So you got to remember what you do here because it's gonna follow, and you're gonna have to do it in the database. You don't want to set it where it's max 30 because then, of course, if they do 35, it's gonna cut off some of whatever they put in for their name. Last thing on here, last two things. Layout margin bottom. That just gives me a little space between each of my edit texts, and then the input type. Another important thing because it's going to change the way the keyboard, which keyboard you get. Like text person name, okay, you're going to get the regular keyboard. But on email, text email address for the input type, you're going to get your @ symbol and your .com, so that, and they're going to be added to your keyboard because it's an email address, so you're going to need them, so you don't have to keep switching over to your special characters and stuff. As far as if you had a phone number, it would bring up the actual little keypad for a phone, and then password down here, text password input type. As you type, the numbers turn into dots, so people can't see your password. As far as the rest of it, I set the max length on the emails to 50, and the max length on the passwords to 15 which I'll explain that when we get to it, because when we go in and we start doing verifications on all these, because we're going to be doing some checking and stuff before we even get to the database, and so, one of them is you're going to have a password between 8 and 15 characters. No more, no less. And then, of course, it's going to have to contain a capital letter, a lowercase letter, a number, and a special character. And we'll show you how to do that in the next video. Well, one of the next two videos anyways, but probably the next video. What else we got in here? Text line center, I think the rest of it. Of course, assign them all an ID. And now we're going to go see what this looks like. So let's run it. Pull my phone up here. And boom, there you go. So now just to give you kind of an idea, so I could type in even all right, now I do want to show, you see the @ symbol down here, since we're on an email, and then the .com. because we're in an email address. So, like I say, this isn't going to do anything right now. I can type the yahoo.com, just hit the .com. And you got a little next. You can see the next button down here, so you can jump right down to your next thing. And then we'll just do password, and you'll see the characters disappear as you do them. PASSWORD. Like I say, we don't have any checks in right now, and then you hit the next again. And then after you enter this, you're going to hit done. So we are going to do some checks because we're going to have to make sure that these are the same, that we didn't make any mistakes. And then you're going to come down and you're going to click register. And of course, there's nothing there, so it just says register. So we'll cover that in the next video, and do some programming and, like I say, some checking between the two emails, the two passwords. And of course, the passwords, we're gonna, we want to make sure that they're secure. So I'll show you how to do all that stuff, as well as verifying that this is an actual email type address. In other words, if it doesn't have the @ sign in there and it doesn't have the dot, it's going to come back and it's going to shoot them an error message. So we'll cover that in the next one. Y'all have a great night, and we'll put out another video tomorrow. Thanks. Bye.